What's going on, guys? Today we're looking at the most recent trade that happened in the NHL. Ottawa sending Alex Galchenyuk and Cedric Paquette to the Carolina Hurricanes in exchange for Ryan Dzingel. Some interesting, I think, takes on this one. Personally, I think it was honestly a pretty fair trade. Ryan Dzingel only has 1 year left on his contract. Although he is the best player in this trade, I think he's definitely going to be, going to free agency this summer anyways. Carolina gets a bit of depth. They also actually get a bit of cap relief, so they want to make a trade at the deadline for a bigger name player. They get an extra like $700K to do that. In game, you can see Dzingel's 20 years old, 82 overall, making $3.3 million. So really not that bad of a contract, honestly. Like I was saying, though, I think Carolina just wanted a bit of depth, a bit of extra cap for the deadline, and Dzingel wasn't doing anything too crazy on Carolina. I think he was like playing third line for them. So they get Galchenyuk, who can definitely play third line. They also get Cedric Paquette, who's a pretty solid fourth liner. Doesn't really produce much offensively, but defensively, he's pretty solid. Can help them on the PK as well. So I got Galchenyuk here. You can see in game, 26 years old, 81 overall, making $1 million, a low top 6 potential there. So a couple years younger. He's been around though. We look at Galchenyuk's stats here. You can see this will be, I think, this will be his 5th team in 4 years. Arizona, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Ottawa, now Carolina. In terms of productivity, 40 points, 72 games with the Coyotes isn't that bad. He did have 50 points here before that in Montreal. I think he got injured somewhere around here, and since the injury, just really hasn't been the same player. So I hope for his sake he's able to turn it around. Now, as I mentioned, on top of him, they also get Cedric Paquette, who I think more than anything is just a good PKer. 27 years old, 78 overall, making $1.6 million there. Does he have 1 year left as well? Yeah. So they could lose him, they could keep him. You can see he's got pretty solid defensive stats there. I think played 4th line in PK for the Lightning as well. Before getting traded to Ottawa in the Brayden Coburn deals. It's pretty funny actually. Ottawa just signed Galchenyuk in the past offseason and just traded for Paquette in the Coburn deal that happened like a month and a half, 2 months ago. And they're already shipping both these players out. And in return, they're getting Dzingel, who of course played for the Senators for quite a bit of time before they traded him to Columbus Blue Jackets at that deadline when they also traded Duchesne to Columbus Blue Jackets. You can see in Ottawa, he's a 40-point guy. Last year on Carolina, 30 and 64. So again, it's not like he's a stud or anything. He's definitely the best player in the trade, but not by a huge margin. So I think it's a pretty fair trade. You can see in game, Ottawa actually has the more value, probably just because there are 2 pieces there, which, like I said, is kind of why I think it's fair. Dzingel's the best player, but Carolina gets some depth here, and obviously with the pandemic, there's going to be a lot of probably guys in and out of your lineup, which so I think depth's actually a smart thing to have. And I just looked up Carolina's penalty kill percentage. They're basically league average, so adding Paquette I think should help them out. I assume Ottawa says no here, just look at the values. And yeah, they do reject it. So in-game, EA seems to think that Carolina wins this trade. In real life, though, it seemed most people thought Ottawa wins this trade. And like I said, in my personal opinion, I think it was actually a pretty fair trade. And after that trade, here's what the Hurricanes lines might look like. I've got Teravainen, Aho, and Svechnikov on the first line. I know a lot of times they play Svechnikov on like the second or third, but I feel like you just stack your first line. It makes more sense to me. Nietzsche's Trocheck, Niederreiter on the second. I got Galchenyuk on the third line left wing, playing with Stahl and Foegele, which isn't a bad third line. Even Fast there, playing with Paquette and McGinn. You could definitely, move Fast or McGinn up to the third line in exchange for Galchenyuk. Doesn't really matter. Definitely a lot of options there. So like I said, I think, it's a nice move for them. Get that depth. Still have one of the best D-cores in the NHL. Hurricanes definitely looking good, especially once Mrazek gets back from injury. And now, guys, we're going to try this trade from Ottawa's perspective. As you can see, Carolina wants both Galchenyuk and Paquette, and they have about, double the value there of Dzingel. I should show you guys Paquette's stats here, too. As I showed you both Dzingel and Galchenyuk, like I said, just on Tampa Bay's 4th line for the past 5 years. Solid defensive player. You kind of know what you're getting with him. Really don't think there's much more to say than that. So I'm assuming Carolina's going to say yes to this. I should mention for both trades, difficulty is set to medium. And yeah, Carolina says yes. And next year, guys, I'll give my best guess of what Ottawa's lines will look like after this trade. I should mention, too, why I think this trade works for Ottawa. As I said, why I think it's a good trade for the Hurricanes, but not the Senators. Ottawa's the worst team in the NHL right now. The only team that's worse than the Red Wings. So I feel like they just want some sort of shake-up. Something to, like, liven up that locker room, which switch up, let them know like they're not really okay with losing that bad. And in this trade, obviously they do lose a bit of depth, but they get the best player back, like I mentioned. Dzingel should help them score a bit more, and they have some pretty good players still in the AHL, like Logan Brown, like Alex Formenton, who aren't in the NHL yet. So they definitely can pick from those guys to kind of replace one of the dudes they lost. Now, looking at the lines here, you got Tkachuk, Tierney, Brown's the first line. That's according to the internet what they have right now. Danov, White, and Stützle on the second line, which isn't too bad. Dzingel, Stepan, Batherson, honestly, is not a bad third line either. Watson, Norris, and Missimov for the fourth line isn't terrible. Really, the thing Ottawa's missing is just like a couple star players to build their team around. Brady Tkachuk's a good player, but he's not a great player. Tim Stützle could be that future star. After that, you know, Dadonov can score, but he's pretty one-dimensional. Everyone else, you know, is more or less, right now, I'd say, kind of like a third-line talent. Defensively, too, you got Shabbat and not much else. So hopefully, you know, for Ottawa's sake, this trade of, you know, bringing Dzingel back helps them out. I do feel a little bit bad for Dzingel, going from basically a for sure playoff team in Carolina to the worst team in the league in Ottawa, but that is the way of the NHL. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments section which team you thought won the trade. As always, if you did enjoy it, leave that thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. And besides that, thank you guys as always for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.